Across the rugged Indian territory rides a tall young man on a mission of mercy. His medical bag strapped on one hip, his six-shooter on the other. This is
ML Elric. The Red Shovel Network
brings you another transcribed episode in the exciting adventure series
ML Soul of Detroit.
It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You are qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric, not in Scotland, but in the basement, which is very much like Scotland because they can take away my trip to Mackinac. They can take away my time off, but they cannot take away my freedom.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Just like William Wallace said.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Did I not deliver the line?
I'm more confused at why you're here.
I was hoping we were going to get talking heads for the second week in a row. I guess not.
I took a lot of shit over my miscommunication from last week on this show.
Cram, once again, pulling a fast one.
And then it turns out that I think the communication error is on your end.
Me?
Yeah.
I was just supposed to dial in. The next thing you know, I'm standing there in my skivvies on the whole show.
Oh, so I was supposed to disconnect you?
No, but you could have said something like,
Go hang out with your powerful people.
I had no idea Drew was dropping it. I would have bailed and I would have promoted Drew because more people.
Well, that's what I told Drew. I said,
Drew.
I'm not going to kick you off any show, Drew, and I'm not going to.
No, I think but then they came in
the principal name off of this show either.
But then folks came in for Drew, heard me and Mark and Mike, and were disappointed. I mean, Drew was here for 2 seconds, and then they were.
And then he came back. He came back though.
Yeah, for the song, I guess.
And so then I asked.
Thank God that he had a fresh take on new wave music.
Oh, is that a shot fired?
You know, the bad thing about always being right is that you're often right about bad things. And I knew when I was gone it would be the Talking Heads. I just had no idea.
Okay, I do want to say
that
this.
Drew Lane would bring the Talking Heads in here.
So I had texted him that morning, and I'm like,
At least it was the Al Green Talking Heads.
Oh, the cover of "Take Me to the River."
Yeah.
No. What's funny though is I don't know new wave music, so I thought, hey, Drew, do you want to pick a song? And so when I got here, he's like, yeah, I'll come down and introduce it. And I said, what's the song? And as soon as he said what the song was, I couldn't stop laughing. And he's like, why? I said, because ML hates him and Shawn loves him, and it's going to be great because you guys will be mad at each other.
Well, let me be clear. I do
Friction. That's really what he wants, right?
I don't hate the Talking Heads. I just find them to be tired and yeah, basically.
But if they're good, they're good. I mean, what?
So wait a second. He says he finds them to be tired, and yet the Smiths somehow endure,
and also choose the Sisters of Mercy for a full month.
And we didn't. We only did it for 2 weeks because Andy Rourke's
true.
untimely death threw us off. And so then last week we had the Talking Heads. So I guess that's it for the Sisters of Mercy.
Or I mean,
Is
you never know.
it?
You never know.
So I went to the show last night.
How was it?
It was. Let me see. How do I answer that? Fillmore's a great place. It was a terrific crowd.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of cool people. Was surprised by some of the people I ran into, and was disappointed by the show. I've been waiting years for Andrew Eldritch to come to town, and he's kind of a notoriously dyspeptic gentleman, shall we say? But that's fine. You know, he's great, and it was a good show. But he, over the years, has been criticized for being, not very gracious, for being really cheap. Like Patricia Morrison, who was his bass player for a while, left, and supposedly one of the reasons why was because she was only making something like $300 a gig, and she was kind of the face of the band.
Let me ask you this: were your expectations for the show just way too high because you always wanted to see him, and so now it's like it's going to be the greatest show ever?
No, and a friend sent me the playlist, so I said that's a pretty good playlist. So this is going to be a good show. But one of the things that older folks like me marvel at is how clear vocals are now, and how the production quality of a live show is you can hear everything. You know, it's really high quality. The vocals were muddy and were underplayed. So, and you know, he is the band. It's his deep voice and his baritone, and it was kind of hard to hear him at times, and he was a little indistinct.
Do you think that's because he was also dyspeptic?
No, I'd said it could just be his perspicacity. I don't know what that means.
Maybe he just needed to take a dump.
What?
Well, that's what you do between the set list
Clears you up.
and then the
encore.
The encore, right? But
It's a quick dump.
and then he has he does all the music and he hires a band to tour. No saxophone player. There's a couple tunes with horns, so he didn't just get somebody locally.
So
to
that
come.
show you saw sounds sort of like your recap of the show.
So
right
specific to
That was
and just
cheap.
the group of people that went to the show.
But then he also has, some songs that have just amazing vocals, backup singers,
now. We'll take your word for it.
all recorded. No one live. So he
Kind
didn't
of regret I asked how the show.
he didn't hire some local people to
Kind
play,
of.
which I think plays into, how he's kind of cranky and he's kind of cheap. And then I think at some point he
You think
never.
I'd learn that an answer is
Mike
going
does sound pretty clear. Speaking of clarity, he sounds pretty clear for being in Glasgow.
Well, this is.
I know. We thought you
You
were
asked
going to
about the show. This is the review. So
I didn't know. I didn't expect it to be 6 minutes
We
long.
wanted the Metro Times, one paragraph review.
Yeah, the Twitter review, the blurb, 140 characters. How do you do Twitter, by the way?
poor Eli.
Is every tweet you do a thread?
One of 8. I have to write them in reverse order.
Exactly.
No. So okay,
Brevity
I got
is
to
not
wrap
your
this up
strong
because this
suit.
is
you
important.
You don't have to wrap it up. No one cares anymore. I retract my question.
Oh, he wishes he were in Edinburgh.
Look how sad he is.
Caligon, take me away.
So the show was underwhelming.
He didn't talk to the crowd at all. Didn't introduce the
What
band.
did I do?
And then near the end of the show, I think somebody yelled Detroit, and he just said like, "I know where I am."
Oh, what a dick.
Yeah. So, but it was a good show, and it was a great
sounds like it.
scene.
It does.
But and in a way, he was as advertised. He was really
A dick.
not a pleasant fellow,
Or dyspeptic,
but it was
as
really good.
Mike would say.
That's right. He was very good. It was fun.
All right. Cyrus.
Yeah, that's it. On to Glasgow. No, we're not going to Glasgow.
Where are you going?
Edinburgh.
Are you going to Ireland too?
No,
Just Scotland?
just Scotland. Just the old sod. So we'll be going there this week for 2 weeks. So 25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Just the two of you?
No, we're
What
taking
are you
the girls.
trying to case his joint or put so much information out there that I don't want people to know when I'm out of town?
Yeah, I should just let people know who have any notions. First of all, we
My
don't have.
keypad entry number is 553.
It's like every password in the world, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have any shit worth stealing. That's the truth. But we will still have 4 dogs in the house and somebody staying there while we're gone. So don't.
Really?
Don't try and boost our gear.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'll be a nice getaway for you, Sean, watching his house.
Where's this house?
Oh, my Lord.
It's
following the
it's
conversation.
in close proximity to Grosse Pointe. I'm led to believe. Some may even think it's within.
Oh,
the
you mean
city
your house?
limits.
Your house in Michigan. I see.
It's part of the empire. Yeah, it's the county seat.
Mark's over here falling asleep.
No. I'm listening.
Well, while people are wondering what we're doing here, we're here partly because of the generosity of some folks, including David Hall Financially. We'll tell you how he can help you make some money, save some money, buy some stuff.
Because it's springtime.
Oh.
And it's the buying season right now.
We're going to spring right
I
in.
figure might as well, yeah.
Yeah, no, let's do it. Do it.
You got to get them on the top right off the bat, right? Home inventory.
I would wait to hear how David Hall can help me because I know it's worth the wait. But
Honestly,
yes, you're right.
There are so many ways that he can help you. Call 866.
Shall we count them?
If you want.
Okay.
866-CALL-HALL or go to our website, mlsolodetroit.com. There's a little link there to click on Hall Financial and callhallfirst.com. And the reason you want to do it is you can get money out of your house.
That's one.
Oh, boy. Now I got to come up with all the reasons.
You can refinance. That's 2.
You can refinance. Or if you're a new homeowner, they now have the 1% down program.
That's
for
3.
$4,000 in forgivable down payment assistance. They can bundle loans.
That's 4.
Lots of things they can do.
That's
I'm going to
4 and
stop at
counting.
4. If you want to hear more and experience their beyond 5-star service, once again, 866-CALL-HALL, or go to our website and click on that link and make sure you tell them that you heard it here.
That's right. Let them know. Let Dave Hall know that ML sent y'all.
Oh
I freelanced that. That's
Clearly.
That's off the cuff. And then there's Luke Nowacki. He's another guy who can help you navigate these treacherous financial waters and set yourself up for financial success now and in the future, so that when you get to be old like us, you're not stuck doing a podcast. Or if you are doing a podcast, it'll be on the back of a super yacht.
I'm surprised how many people wait to invest in general. I mean, I know not everybody has money they can save up or, put into the market.
That's the main reason.
Well, sure.
Well, it's fear. No, it's fear. I know somebody
that's what I was going to say, ML.
who is terrible with money. In fact, we were doing a little joint business project, and we sat down with a lawyer who was going to create an LLC. And he said, well, first let's figure out what assets we have to protect. And then we went through several things that I have. And he said, okay, do this. You're good there. You're good there. You might want to put that in your wife's name. You're good there. You're good there. Then he turned to the other guy, and they talked for a couple minutes. He said, okay, you have no assets to protect. So I said, that's not good. No. So I tried to hook this guy. This was before I knew Luke. I tried to hook him up with a financial planner. And he said, no, I don't want to do it. I won't do it. Because he knew all he was going to find out is you're way behind. Mm-hmm. You need to set aside a ton of dough, or you're going to work until you die. And he would rather work until he died than say, what can I do to figure out what shape am I in and how I can get the hell out of these chains before I'm 95 years old?
Look, it can be intimidating as hell, but the longer you wait, the less you're going to make on it.
That's right.
So now is a good time to start. Luke will hold your hand. He'll walk you through it. He's a really, really nice guy. He'll give you a free consultation. Once again, Luke Nowacki is who we're talking about. Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. There's no time like the present to figure out where, make your money grow. And so you don't want to outlive your money. Because like ML said, you'll be working nonstop to the bone. And so Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748.
Because when you call Luke, he will make it all about you, my little sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
How was Mackinac?
It was great.
Was it really?
It was great. And we'll tell you in a little bit about what's going on at the Caju Cafe. Very exciting new development at the Caju. We'll tell you about that a little later in the show. And we'll tell you how you can get a good meal and a great time at Irish Coffee, one of our new sponsors. A little bit more on that before too long. But Mackinac, as you may have read in the Free Press, was a place I went looking for Republican candidates for U.S. Senate. You always go there because you meet a lot of people, you make some connections, you catch up with some folks who might run from you otherwise.
Yeah, it's not really about policy.
Yeah, and did I tell you about the time I went to go get this guy?
Yes, you did.
Whoa.
No, I don't know. You do look sparkly. You do look sparkly today, though.
And this week, it's room 7609, we have David Byrne doing some solo work with bongos. Is that queued up yet? No, okay. I think Jerry Hairston was at the Majestic. He was.
You set him off on a tangent.
What's the story? Tell us about the time on Mackinac.
Okay, so I went up there when I worked for Fox to try and find a guy who was basically fronting a political spending committee and didn't want to talk to us, and we knew he was going to Mackinac, so we thought, perfect, he's on Mackinac, it's an island, they're all going to be at the Grand Hotel, it should be easy to find him. So we know what he looks like because we have a picture and we have a description. He's basically middle-aged, maybe on the shorter side, bald guy. And so we get up at 4 a.m, we drive to Mackinac, get the first ferry, get to the Grand Hotel. We're working the lobby with our camera. And I turned to my partner, John Brzezinski, and I said, there he is, let's go. So we go to move in. We're walking up to him. It's a bald, middle-aged white guy in a polo shirt. And just I'm about to say, well, I turn to my left. There's a bald, middle-aged white guy in a polo shirt. And I turn to my right. There's a bald, middle-aged white. I said, holy shit, this place is all bald, middle-aged white guys. So we had to
I guess they all look
regroup.
the same to you, huh?
Yeah, we had to regroup, and we didn't find him. He was the only bald, middle-aged white guy on the island who was not the guy we're looking for.
Does it remind you of the scene in what's the movie, Mark, with Faye Dunaway? No, it's the remake of the Faye Dunaway, the art heist movie with Pierce Brosnan. He goes in to steal a piece.
Eddie Crown affair.
Thomas Crown affair. He
Thomas
goes
Crown
into to steal the piece of art. He has everybody dress up in the same overcoat and bolo hat and with a photo of it, of the same. It was a little meta thing there, but yeah.
Yeah, no, we ended up getting him outside the Townsend Hotel later, but that's the way it goes.
That just shows that the Mackinac Policy Conference is it's not reality. It's not real. There's no policy going on there. And as you wrote in your column, it's all about anointing whoever's going to run next.
Well, there is some policy, and some things get rolled out and trying to see
For the purpose of getting elected.
Well, but there's also
govern.
things like the mayor announced his plan to try and change the way property taxes are
cynical.
done in Detroit.
Yeah, won't happen.
So that's kind of to gauge the crowd. But a guy like Duggan, he kind of knows where things are headed before he I don't think he floats many trial balloons. It hasn't been floating privately for a long time.
I finally figured it out, Mike. Your hair's growing out a little bit. It makes you a little softer. Yeah, that's why you look so nice today.
Are you trying to send him on another tangent?
So I thought we kind of had a little momentum there.
Sean, do you not have any opinion on the Mackinac Policy Conference, or does that just not enter your realm?
It's just the way business has been done for 200 and whatever years.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's right.
No, but it's just how business is done. It's not right or wrong. It's just our system. It's people line each other's pockets, and that's how it goes.
Well, this is supposed to be a place where you get help too, and there are more nonprofits up there trying to raise money and get support for their program. So it's not just the old smoke-filled room. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this thing has evolved, but it's funny and not funny, haha, when you're taking a look at who's there. So I went up there one time to try and bust a guy, missed him, got him on the mainland. All's well with the world. I was walking around and a guy walked past me. I said, "Holy shit, is that Bert Johnson?" And yes, indeed, it was Bert Johnson, former state senator, employer of ghost employees, who was in federal prison, is there on the island, and he's working as a lobbyist. And I'm like, what? Matt Allen,
Did you run into Sam Riddle?
Patrick's no, he wasn't up there. Former press secretary is up there working as a lobbyist. There's so many people who used to be in government who are now working as lobbyists. And perhaps the most surprising one of all was Turkia Mullen. Does anybody remember her?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
She was Bob Ficano's economic development director.
She got in trouble for something.
Well, so Jennifer Dixon and I did a story when she was talking about the $1 billion worth of projects they've supported. Jennifer and I called a lot of these people who they listed as their success stories and like, yeah, they didn't really help us with that. Or that was money we already lined up. Or yeah, they weren't much help. Or that money came from the state. And we're like, that sounds kind of sketchy. Well, then it turns out she got hired as Metro Airport director. And she had to do an essay as part of it. And the essay was written by some consultant. And I think it was supposed to be a timed essay. And basically she went in there with the essay in her pocket and dropped it and got the job. It was something like $275,000 a year. And I think this is where she went from the Economic Development Corporation, just as kind of a soft landing. And the whole thing was exposed as a scam that the fix was in, and she ended up having to resign. But she's up there working as a lobbyist. And
of course she is. It
just comes back to me, and I'm like, geez, I think I should write something about this at some point. And there's another scoundrel who I've written about who has a really great job somewhere, and I'll tell you about that in the future. But it's not that you get in trouble and you should have to go away and wander the earth or anything like that. But why do you have to come back and try and make money in the public sector? Why do you have to try and get into the influence game when you were in the influence game, you showed that you abused it?
Yeah.
And Bert Johnson, he does one of those things like a lot of these shit bags where, like, oh, I didn't do nothing wrong, so I got no problem with you. And he's walking up the stairs while I'm talking to somebody else, and then I'm like, we make eye contact. Hey, how's it going, Bert? And then he comes walking back down, and then he interrupts and he wants to shake hands, kind of like, there's nothing to fear. I got no problems. Like, whatever, you paid your price. Who cares? And he's shaking, and he's like, I talked to, and he drops the name of a mutual friend of ours, and blah, blah, blah. And he says, by the way, I think you're much funnier in print than you are in person. I'm like, okay, great.
Everyone does.
And then his whole thing is,
You're funny. No, you're funny in both.
But then his whole thing is he's like, I know you don't like me, but blah, blah, blah. I'm like, none of the stories that I did was because I didn't like you. In fact,
personal.
He's an incredibly likable guy. I don't think the feds who helped put him in prison because he robbed from the taxpayers did because they didn't like him. This stuff happens, Bert, because you did something wrong. Yeah. It's not because of how people feel about you personally. In fact, if people treated you the way they did because of the way they feel about you personally, you're a very charismatic guy, you'd probably still be getting away with scams. So I was talking to a lawyer there who represents a lot of criminal defendants, and he said, this is common. It's always like, so I was like, no, it's not me. It's just people don't like me. I'm not doing anything wrong. They're just jealous of me, or they don't want me to get ahead.
Awfully narcissistic way to look at things.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of... It's
to excuse their bad behavior.
Well, and I think it's that sort of that mindset of if I want to do it, it must be okay.
Right?
And I think that's a fair way to put it, but it's more than that. There's a sociopathic tendency there where, if I want to do it, it must be okay. And if people don't want me to do it, it's not because there are rules, it's because they don't like me.
That's funny. I had not heard the name Turkia Mullen in such a long time. Of course, she's out there.
And now you have.
Scam. Well, and I'm looking at her LinkedIn profile, and she has the Detroit, Metro airport on there. September 2011 to October 2011. 2 months. And yet there's just a list of all these great things she did there. I'm like, I would maybe
2 months.
I would almost maybe keep that off because I thought it led to an FBI investigation, which she was cleared. But a judge then ruled out all her sweetheart. I think she had lifetime severance of $200,000. Like that got thrown out.
Can you believe that airport's 22 years old?
Yeah, I can.
Really?
Yeah,
because when you go in it, it's still
because they built it. They built it before They built it before September 11th, thinking people would go in and use all those shops. And then September 11th happened, and now you have to have a ticket to go in there and use all those shops.
Yeah, they're like it was almost like a mall.
The timing was just terrible for that airport.
Well, that helped that the restaurants are.
And I'm talking about the
subpar.
Talking about the McNamara terminal.
That's one of the best terminals in the country.
Yeah, I don't know why
it's fantastic.
Named after McNamara.
Well, it may be
a whole other
you
show.
can quibble with that, but
at least he was around when they built it.
You were just there the other day, Mike.
The Warren Evans terminal. What did he do to help get that built? I mean, the ego on these guys is unbelievable.
That just shows the machine, though, right? Of McNamara.
Yeah, well, and I think Evans is
a great airport.
Is an extension of it. Yeah. Well, the question is, did they build it?
Sean, you don't strike me as the kind of guy that keeps his head down and just lets all you're fine with corruption going on.
No, it's not that. It's just that, and you know what? It's not just me. I mean, the McNamara terminal routinely gets rated as one of the best 2 or 3 in the country every year. The only reason it's not the best is because the food sucks.
I understand that, but
that's always the same. It's the same complaint every year. The food sucks.
But when you go there, don't you shake your head at who it's named after, or does that?
I don't care about that. I go in there and I see all the light and all the windows and the architects and the people that built that. I focus on the 5,000 people that built the fucking thing, as opposed to the guy that is named after. Right?
That's kind of the point.
Yeah,
nobody thinks of those people because his name is slapped on them.
It's not like I'm excusing saying, okay, Hitler made the trains run on time or whatever. I don't mean it in that way. It's just that
it was Mussolini. But
okay, and then he lowered unemployment. I don't know.
Are you saying McNamara's Mussolini?
Yeah, he got rid of the wheelballs for our cash in the Weimar Republic. How about that?
Is that true?
I don't know that Hitler did. I'm sure he took credit for it.
That might be one of my favorite corrections of all time. He corrected Hitler to Mussolini.
We need to get a guest.
You can do.
I think when we're left to our own devices, things go very badly bad.
You can do.
If only Mussolini was producing this show, we'd start on time.
Things can be. You can have different things, right? You can have the same thing and have different feelings about it.
No,
and
I understand
can be good.
that.
And,
all I said is I'm surprised that I would think you're that kind of guy that would be shaking his hand at powerful
Did people make money building that airport that probably shouldn't have, or made a percentage of money that probably shouldn't have? Yes. Is there an airport in this country where that was not true? Probably not.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it right.
But why can't you have a cool name? Like
Detroit Airport.
Oh no, I mean,
Joe Louis.
Is St. Louis the gateway or something? I mean, those airports that has a name that says something like, America on Wheels Airport,
Love Field,
or
It's probably named after someone, isn't it?
Although that's the secondary airport. That's where Southwest flies. Dallas's main airport is just DFW. How about that? How about DTW?
Yeah.
Sure, or make some money off it.
Well,
make it the Delta Gateway, and we get $10 million a year from Delta Airlines.
The Gilbert Terminal? Is that what you want?
No.
If he's willing to pay for it, I mean, the thing about McNamara and Evans, that these are on a national scale, very, very obscure mid-level apparat. Well, they're not apparatchiks, but they're politicos, and they mean nothing to anybody who's coming here. I think it would be nice that if I was going to Seattle, I would be going to, Space Needle Airport.
It's SeaTac. What was
kind of nice.
What was Kennedy named before?
Wait a sec.
JFK.
Cape Canaveral?
It is still DTW.
Idlewild?
It's still Detroit
That's
Wayne.
the code. Yeah.
But
Idlewild. Yeah. And
the terminal.
Cool,
the terminals.
Who knows who LaGuardia was outside of
former mayor
Queens?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
New York
straight people know who he is too, but I don't know why you're kind of taking us there. But a lot of people know Fiora de LaGuardia.
Yeah.
His name was, but Fiora. But it should be something like, why not make it Big Apple Airport?
Like a lot of people know the Sisters of Mercy, I guess.
Motown Airport. Or
cool
terminal.
Cool people do.
I don't necessarily know about cool. Poser people, maybe?
I'm not saying I'm one of them, but there were a lot of cool people there last night. But I'm glad you brought it back to the Sisters of Mercy.
It's relative. It's relative,
Because,
right? Your definition of cool is relative. Like you were talking about Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Earlier. Is that cool? Is that a cool show?
No. It's great. It's a great show. I don't know if it's cool.
I didn't even realize that it was back.
That I could do a segue?
Because there was so much. Well, I mean, when you say, "Here's how I sawed the woman in half," it's not magic anymore. But yes, that was seamless. Until you pointed, you can't even see the seam. Look at it.
Should have just said "ta-da."
Oh, but I don't need that.
Or I have a. Or you could have just said, "Can I do a segue here?" And then do a segue.
I'm going to segue now.
But
you want me to announce it before it goes?
Just like everything.
Like the question. Like the
love
questions.
making is about to commence. So
commence is your word.
Inserts.
Commence is your word.
prepare to be delighted. But
Preparing to board.
But there we go. Now we're back to the airport. Shit, Sean, save us again.
Yeah, segue us out of this one.
But Ted Lasso, the buzz for the first 2 seasons is all anybody talked about. There were magazine articles, the Ted Lasso way. Is this the way we should be going in society? Season 3 comes out, much anticipated. Nothing.
It's fallen flat. Yeah.
Nothing.
I liked season 3, and it wrapped up in a nice little bow, which just a lot of shows don't wrap up. A lot of times they just get canceled and it's open ended.
Did Ted end up being CEO of Waystar Royco?
Oh my God! Spoiler alert.
Did he end up did he beat Roman and Kendall and Shiv in the FA Cup?
I'm not gonna tell you what happened. I don't want to spoil it.
We don't want to spoil it. No, but your point is a good one, Mike. Especially the first season, and because it's when it hit too. It's when it dropped. We were in the middle of a pandemic, or the beginning of a pandemic. I'm trying to remember exactly the timing on that in terms of the months, but it was a phenomenon, right? In a way, very, very few shows have been over the last 20 years.
Because he was different.
And it captured, it was at the right time, too. I think that show would have felt right at any time, but because of the time it dropped, it had, I think, an even larger audience because we were captives to some degree, and we were all desperate for something to watch, and then we find something to watch that we can kind of hang on to collectively, and I think that made a difference. It made it even more. It sort of fed itself.
That's funny you say that. I kind of bummed out that we don't have, and we've talked about it before, but these collective experiences. Like everybody watched, Dallas, right, or MASH, the finale. Like that's not going to happen.
Everybody hated the last episode of Seinfeld, so that was a shared experience.
Is that still the most watched TV show in history, non-sports show?
What, the Seinfeld finale? For some, I thought share-wise it was MASH because there were like 2 channels then.
Maybe it was, but I saw some ridiculous number like 90 million people or some.
Yeah.
ridiculous amount of people watch the last Seinfeld.
But I can't tell you how many times people are like, hey, have you seen this show? And I know, well, Succession is a prime example.
But the numbers of that, you see the numbers of that? Very few people have actually watched it. That has a social media power that far outweighs its actual numbers of the people who watch it.
Yeah, somebody made a joke the other day about the Succession finale. It said, we know 2 million people watched it because 2 million people have tweeted that I just watched it. So that's their real measurement. It's almost like, back to the Sisters of Mercy. One of the people I went to.
I'm blaming you for that, Sean.
One of the people I went
Can
to
you
the
find
Sisters
them
of
at
Mercy
McNamara,
with.
you think? Do they have a record shop in there?
30 years ago, we used to hang out in a lot of clubs and stuff like that, and kind of goth scene, alternative music, whatever. And we went to a party, and it was like a really like cool kind of out there party. And a couple of the guys at the party were talking about a band called Test Department. And my friend and I, who were not quite into that particular music scene at the time, by the end of the night, we had sort of figured out that Test Department wasn't really a band. It's just one of those things to figure out who knows what's what. And if you said, oh, yeah, I've got their album, we had a feeling they come say, there's no Test Department. And the final episode of Succession kind of feels like Test Department. There really is a Test Department, but you have to be really into it to know it and to talk about it and be obsessed about it. And it's almost like a status thing. It's like, oh, I was watching Succession before anybody else was.
That's what's weird about it. We don't have shows like that. I think the last one was probably Game of Thrones, and that only did 14 million. Or 15.
That's a lot bigger than Succession. What did Lasso do its first couple of seasons?
That's a great question. I have no idea. But then once again, that had a buzz. But a lot of people, it's so fragmented now of where people watch things that nobody wants to have 30 subscriptions.
And Apple may have really pushed it out too, because that was the first big show on that new channel. But the other shows,
the Jennifer Aniston show,
Yeah.
the morning show,
It's very good.
But
It's a really
I
good
remember
show.
people getting really into True Blood before, and then of course Breaking Bad,
But Lasso had more of a broad appeal, don't you think? In some ways, although the beginning of this season, I saw a lot of people complaining that it had gone too woke.
How?
Ted Lasso too woke. I thought it started woke. You got a
It
coach
did,
who wants to
and
hug
then there was a
people.
pushback saying, "What? Have you not been watching the show? It's been woke from the start."
I mean,
cares
I
anyway
wouldn't
if it
necessarily
makes
say
you
woke,
laugh?
but I mean, he was sensitive. He was the new age coach, right? He wants to give you a hug, and if we win, whatever. But I love you as a person, and you know.
And I'll eat your food no matter how spicy it is. You don't remember that
podcast?
You don't remember that scene?
I was trying to find out how many people actually watched it. So I don't know. I miss those days of where there is a, show that everybody is excited to watch and watches it every week too. So you can talk about it on the water cooler type stuff
or a movie.
Movies.
When's the last time we had a movie that was
It happens though.
a drama?
Well, people
of some
really got into
kind,
Top Gun
right?
Maverick. I remember a lot of people.
That is the
talking
last time I remember that. You're absolutely right.
That had a lot of buzz.
That felt old school that way, and I went and saw it a couple times because my kids wanted to go a couple times, and the audience was.
That happens
was
occasionally.
mixed,
I mean, the last Bond movie, which was garbage. I mean, there was a lot of buzz around that. I mean, it happens in the summer. It'll happen again because I think there's another Mission
No,
Impossible
not just the
coming
buzz.
out.
Yeah, that looks fun too. But not just the buzz leading up to it, but it gets in a theater, and then there's obviously a huge marketing campaign, but there's also then a word of mouth that can carry you through a summer or a holiday season. Maybe if it's a holiday season release, we just don't give very many of those very often.
Well, no, because there's people like me that wait for it to be streamed. Like I'll wait 60 days for it to hit the streaming service.
But do you remember that feeling going into it, of really wanting to see a movie, walking in, you're in a line to get a ticket, you go in and there's a buzz literally in the theater.
Yeah.
I think the Star Wars movies were the last series to do that.
The first of the last remake, the Force Awakens.
Yes.
That probably had that.
There was some bad
What about a
movies.
drama though? What about an actual story? Like
They don't make dramas anymore. It's all superhero.
like Terms of
movies.
when's the last time we had something like Terms of Endearment?
Oh my God.
I know that's a
God.
I love you. There's one.
long time ago.
That was a bad joke. My point being, everything is so fragmented now.
Everything and not just culture, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. I mean, there was almost only room for one big thing at a time, and I think the show that I hearken back to as having that same sort of boutique feel as of Succession, where it's really cool, but you have to. It's not for everybody, but it's for me and my cool friends. had to be Twin Peaks, because I remember when that
Yeah,
came
it was
on.
a great show.
People were going crazy about that.
I thought you were
shit.
more of a Northern Exposure guy.
No.
I thought you were going to say that show I just think is adorable in Severance.
Severance.
Oh, I have that on my mark list.
Which is Severance?
My son watched that too. Loved it.
It's one of my favorite shows.
Is that
recently?
Is that the one with Adam Scott
Yeah.
and Christopher Walken?
What's the other HBO show you loved? Apocalyptic with Mackenzie Davis.
Station 11?
Yeah,
yeah. Dude, I watch too much TV, period.
What's going on with
You know
Beef?
why? I watch so much TV in hopes of having someone to talk to about shows.
And we
then
were just talking
everybody asks me about Succession.
Pre-show today. We were just talking about Ted Lasso.
We were,
And
yeah.
you actually liked the season 3, but to Mike's point, it did fall. It's I don't know what the audience is this year, or this season, right, Mike? But it's not.
I haven't seen
There's no
it.
buzz at all.
I want to see it, but it's like they rolled it out, and then you wonder, did they ever put any episodes on? It's like, yeah, actually, the season just ended. I'm like, holy crap, I missed it. Whereas I will say with Succession, this is the first show in ages where I have waited for a new episode to come out and been like eager to watch it, because I'm like, Mark, I'll wait for them all to come out and I'll just do just a blast where I'm like reading a book. And this one, I was waiting each week for the episode, and then I would listen to a couple podcasts about it, where one of them was official, so they'd have insiders talk about it, and the other one was just a fan-based one, and they'd have a discussion. I mean, that's kind of a real phenomenon that we just don't see that much anymore.
There's a show called The Tower. It's an obscure show, but we're doing that right now. It's a weekly. It's a British show. You'd like it. It's a cop procedural.
I found an answer here. So Ted Lasso season 3 premiere was their Apple TV Plus's series high for a debut, and it drew more viewers for an episode of a show on the platform in more than a year. How many people do you think watched?
6.
No, seriously, how many? 6 million?
Yeah.
I'm going to say...
And then this is the live plus 4 day, because they know people watch over a period of time. They don't tune in at that exact time.
So you're saying it's the biggest debut Apple TV has had?
That makes sense,
Season
actually.
3 premiere set a new series high for its debut.
Okay, so I'm
and
gonna
drew
say-
more viewers up for an episode of a show on that platform in more than a year on Apple TV Plus.
I'm going to say 3.4 million.
870,000.
What?
Exactly. It's
I was going to say 1.4 million, but that sounded way low if it was the biggest ever.
that's in 4 days too.
What about Slow Horses?
Nobody knows that show.
I know, but that's a great fucking show.
Actually,
But only you two watched it.
Sean, we call them learning challenged horses. If you could just try and be
That's 2 bad jokes in a row.
a little more,
So
You
do-
should've-
a little more sensitive.
all right,
laughed after your
let me ask
Mussolini
you all this
correction.
then. Do we need the society as an American society? Do we need that? Are we really I mean, what's the cost of not having water cooler? We don't have water coolers anymore, but
Well, it's Twitter now.
sort of. But is there a cost to that we don't have these shared?
Yeah, shared
other than
experiences.
sports, and even that's regional.
Yeah.
So
No, 100%. That's we don't have those shared experiences with the American culture anymore.
You know a great place to share experiences?
the Caju.
The Caju Cafe.
Wow, man. What are you taking Segway lessons from Shawn?
I would say yes, but then it would ruin the magic. Was it really a segue, or was it meant to be? But on Wednesdays they have karaoke. On Thursday it's the Dance Floor Grenades. On Friday, Legends of Punk with Clampdown, which is a great Clash tribute. The Hormones, a Ramones tribute. Fabulous Disaster, Sex Pistols tribute. Huckleberry Groove will be on Saturday. It's a tribute to Huckleberries, I guess. Sunday, Steve Wood, Caravan Gypsy. No Eric Goebel's Sunday Fun Day Jam this week.
Oh, you slowed down there.
Well, I
Slow horse.
wanted to get it right. They won't be there, though, so don't worry about that this Sunday. And on Monday, Evan Perry and Friends open jam. And, of course, Muscle Madness. All-you-can-eat mussels. So that's the Caju Cafe. Caju Cafe, if you've driven down Caju, as I encourage you to do, there is a new neon sign outside the bar. It's fantastic. It's worth a trip just to check out this amazing piece of art. It was produced by Alex Porby. If it's Alex Porby I'm thinking of, we went to high school together. Fantastic, gorgeous addition to our beautiful East Side streetscape. So the Caju Cafe, always something going on inside. Great food, great music, outdoor music, fantastic. The garage bar is open. So to find out what's going on, or when I get back from Scotland to talk about my trip, you will find me at the Caju Cafe. That's cajucafe.com.
When's Test Department play? Sorry, bad joke.
No, it's I don't know if you're cool enough to share.
know.
Yeah, they don't like anybody to know about their shows. It's one skinny guy in a black raincoat smoking.
In hopes of not getting fully derailed, and before we do Geek of the Week, I do want to go back and ask you another question, much to Sean's chagrin, about the Mackinac Policy Conference regarding your column, right? And your column was mainly about where is the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate? And I honestly, I don't know what's worse here. The fact that there's no name being pushed forward for the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, or the fact that the Democrats have already anointed Slotkin to be the person to run.
Well, before we get to that, I have to tell you, Lawrence Max says, I wait for podcasts. Solar Detroit.
Yeah, right.
Good man, Lawrence. Good man.
Appreciate it.
Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and I know Democrats who are very concerned that Slotkin is being anointed as,
that's what I mean,
as the nominee, and Republicans are very concerned that nobody is stepping up, because this is one of those races that you would expect $50 to $100 million to be spent on, where the National Republican Party would say this is an opportunity for us to take back control of the Senate, because it's an open Senate seat. This almost never happens in America in a battleground state. And the Republicans have no one. I mean, Chief Craig has been talking about it. He's been talking about it for a while, but he's not ready to take the plunge. And this is one of these things where if you wait too long, and some people may say, well, Chief Craig has money in the bank because he just ran for governor. Well, when I talked to Chief Craig, he said, no, we liquidated our account. There's no money in the bank.
What? Really?
We donated whatever balance we had. So he's got to start from zero, which also means building an organization, because he can't rely on the organization he had before, because they're the ones who screwed him by turning in those bogus petitions. So, yeah, no, this is... And you know who's concerned more than anybody else?
Who?
The TV stations. Because if you have one candidate who's going to be your next senator, that's spending millions of dollars that they're missing in ads, because they are the big winner in every election, which is why they're nonpartisan. They want a good fight every single time, right down to the wire.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Slotkin has been anointed by the Democrats simply because of the money-raising ability in the war chest she has.
Some of that, but she's also, when she first ran, she beat a Republican sitting congressman. That almost never happens. She keeps winning in a fairly balanced district, which is pretty impressive. But I've been surprised by the number of Republicans talking about how impressive she is.
What? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, certainly not publicly.
Well, I think she's also middle of the road. She's one of those people who said, I won't vote for Pelosi for speaker again. And she kind of tries to trod that line right down the middle.
Am I being too cynical for thinking that, well, the Democrat, they're just looking at how much money it is and not all that stuff?
No, that's a big part of it. And that's one thing Republicans were known for, is basically trying to steer a candidate to the nomination, as opposed to Democrats who tend to just gouge the shit out of each other and damage their nominee until they get to the contest, the big show, and then they're damaged goods. So it's very strange, and it's a big prize, and it's winnable because, and this is something I didn't get into too much depth with in the column, although I mentioned it, but you're probably going to have Donald Trump at the top of the ticket in Michigan. And unlike the gubernatorial election, where the gubernatorial candidate was at the top of the ticket, didn't have much money, didn't have much of a passionate support base, you're going to have somebody at the top of the Republican ticket who is going to have a lot of charisma, a lot of money, a lot of support. And you're going to and whether it's DeSantis or whether it is Trump or whether it's Tim Scott or Nikki Haley or you name it, you're also guaranteed you're going to have somebody at the top of the Democratic ticket that nobody likes.
Yeah, no one's excited about.
I mean, even Democrats are like, Joe Biden. Can't we get somebody else?
I remember being young and dumb and thinking like, oh, it's about people vote based on policy. It's not. It's people vote on who they're excited about.
Yeah, and Joe Biden remembers being young because he went to his folks and check this new shit out I found at school. It's called FIRE. I mean, he's been around forever. The wheel. That's how he got home. They didn't have a bus back then. They just took the wheel.
I was really, it kind of pissed me off yesterday seeing there's a clip from Stephen A. Smith talking about how he doesn't want an old president. And he got so much shit for that. And I got to tell you, I think most people don't want someone who's in their 80s or even 70s to be president. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that.
People were happy to have Reagan when he was an old president. Having said that, I think he was out of office at an age where Joe Biden was first elected. And even though Trump isn't that much younger than Biden, boy, if you put those two together, Trump is he's just like a dynamo. He just keeps going. I don't know where he finds that juice.
There is a hole there. I mean, for years I hear people say, I wish there was a third party candidate. Well, this would be the year for someone to try and do that, I think.
Yeah, I don't think a third party will ever win. They're talking about doing that in Michigan, which I think is going to be disastrous.
Look how much traction RFK Jr. is getting because people don't want an old man. Simply just don't want an old man.
Well, I don't know.
But it's interesting is
traction he's getting.
He's getting a little traction on the right, whereas when he first came up, he was getting it on the left.
He pulls high. He pulls high. I mean, he's running as a Democrat, and now I know.
But some of the right like him because of his anti-vax.
Yeah, he's got some other stuff out there.
No, I know, but he's got the Kennedy name, and he's willing to say, "I don't care about this establishment. I'm going to run in this primary."
Yeah, well, his uncle Teddy did that too in 1980
right,
and just basically gutted Carter and didn't end up going anywhere except to the bar. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But since we're back to Mackinac, let me ask you.
Yeah, we are.
And I'll tell you one thing I didn't find on Mackinac.
We haven't left the island yet.
Burger as good as Irish coffees. But
that's a good.
I'll tell you about that in just 1 minute.
No, maybe now.
Would you guys be interested in reading a column about all these folks who have basically been exposed as being bums coming back and getting involved in public policy?
Yeah, it's like the K Street deluge every 4 years or 2 years or whatever in D.C., right?
Speaking French. Très bien, mon ami.
Yeah, write your column, but maybe not on the podcast. I think that'd be great.
Well, you saw how excited I got when you said the name Turquia Mullen, because in my head it was like, oh, I can't remember why, but I remember that
who's
person
who
was
of these scumbags.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call them scumbag. I'll just say that there's folks who lost their way, Sean. I don't know why you're so judgmental. Everybody has a chance.
Just channeling you. All right, what are we doing?
But you know what? I think
Irish coffee.
What are we doing?
I think if I am going to write about them, I may ask Bert or Turquia to sit down with me at the Irish Coffee Bar and Grill.
That's the third best segue of the day.
Because they're not from the east side, but if they were, they would know all about Irish coffee because they have the best burgers in town. Not just my opinion, although it is my opinion. They have won awards for this stuff. This is certified, it's homogenized, it's pasteurized, it's legitimized, it's everything but Simonized. It's true. They're located on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe. Irish Coffee is serving up those delicious ground rounds for just $5 on Mondays from 5 to 11. Now, if you're going to do like a Tuesday or Wednesday, I mean, you can go there 7 days a week, but Tuesday and Wednesday, make sure you get there before they run out of Sloppy Joes because they only do those on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They're fantastic. And here's a little insider tip, Sean. I want you to know
American cheese on the burger? Yes, that's a good one.
I go with the blue cheese. They have a great blue burger.
Of course you do. Fancy pants.
But, well, I mean, you were the one who deluging with the fromage. That's French for cheese. And frites, which would be pied. That's fromage pied. That's cheese foot.
See what you did there, Sean?
So, anyway.
I'm sorry.
Boy, they're like, why did we sponsor this show? I knew this was going to get weird. They, you get it deluxe because you get either great coleslaw or a really nice salad, and they'll get you the vinegar and oil if you want that and make your own little salad dressing, and you get fries and onion rings.
Do you dip your tines into the dressing first and then take a bite of salad? Stab the salad.
No.
To cut down on the dressing, to cut down on the...
No, God, I want more dressing.
Okay, yeah, I do too.
Oh, yeah, no. In fact, the best thing about the blue cheeseburger is you can dip your fries in the blue cheese. And
I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry.
Yeah, and they have really good blue cheese.
Did you see that? There's I'm turning to Sean now because it's sports related. CJ.
Oh, thank you. That's all I know about.
But let me just tell you
what
this.
you're interested in. Oh, yes.
Before you go.
I forgot this is a 10-minute.
Whenever you go, you'll find great food and great vibes at a classic Irish pub run by a Kennedy. What could be more Irish than that? And not Robert Kennedy. This is Michael Kennedy. That's the Irish Coffee Bar and Grill on the east side. And if you see me there, be sure to ask me for an onion ring because you know I love to share.
No, Shawn, I was going to ask
I'm not interested in anything, Mark, except for the Irish Bar Grill.
There was a video.
Irish coffee barn.
Irish coffee.
Jesus Christ.
Can't work under these guys. You know what? I'm leaving the country.
I'm done.
out.
No, go ahead, Mark.
If Sean gets elected president, I'm moving to Scotland.
Go ahead. I'd never run.
The moment's left.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
I think that same sentence is often used in Sean's lovemaking sessions. The moment's gone.
And now the moment's gone.
My wallet's gone.
The figure.
My wallet's gone.
What?
Sorry,
I
it's
was
a
just gonna say,
Seinfeld.
I was just going to point out that the fact that you had to repeat the moment's gone means your moment was gone too for that joke. But that's a nice little tautology there.
If they were New Wave, I would try and get Asia in room 769 for
The heat of the moment.
heat of the moment. Yeah.
Just sing some Triumph in the podcast.
Every time I sing Triumph, I lose a very good gig, but I want to, and I like this gig I have now. I'm starting to grow into it. The Geek of the Week this week is a Republican Texas state lawmaker who once proposed banning children from attending drag shows to supposedly shield them from being groomed for abuse. Well, he's resigned after he was found to have engaged in inappropriate sexual conduct with a 19-year-old intern. So that's right.
Oh, this guy, yeah.
Mr. Family Values Brian Slayton resigned last month while facing mounting calls from the state's Republican Party and conservative groups to step down. They're saying, you say you're a conservative, you can't do this kind of stuff. Get your ass out of here. And I'm sure the Democrats were happy to see him go too. A state house investigation determined he supplied alcohol to the intern, and another young staffer had sex with the intern after she had become intoxicated and later showed her a threatening email while saying everything would be fine if she kept quiet about the encounter. He also asked a fellow lawmaker to keep this under his 10-gallon hat. This is one of these things where he resigned but didn't really admit to any wrongdoing, didn't address the allegations, which his attorneys had previously called outrageous and false. Slayton said it had been an honor to serve in the legislature, and he thanked his colleagues, especially the intern coordinator. He said, I look forward to spending more time with my young family and their hot friends, and will continue to find ways to serve my community and all citizens across our great state. So state Republican Party folks said good riddance to bad garbage. And his legislative biography, which I assume is now taken down from the State House, describes him as holding values and principles formed by church and family gatherings. He also has a degree from a Baptist seminary and worked as a youth minister. Didn't see that coming before he was elected to represent his Dallas area district in 2021. So it's in the Dallas area. I don't know if it's Fort Worth, which is a suburb of Dallas. They're very close, but it doesn't say here. But yeah, he was fiddling around with a couple 19-year-old aides and a 20, this is one of these.
If you read the lawsuit too, he was very disappointed when she brought her friends over because her friends were telling her, what are you doing?
Yeah, she was warned.
Yeah. I felt really bad for her.
She told her friends Slayton drove her home the next morning, stopping at a drugstore so she could obtain the day after pill, because I think abortion is pretty much illegal in Texas. He at one point proposed to penalize the use of emergency contraception.
He had quite the battle with his own dick.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Monster.
If you have these proclivities and things, it looks like everybody was a consenting adult. It's unfortunate that he may have tried to
except she worked for him.
There's that, but there's also the intoxication. You're trying to break down somebody's defenses, but maybe a little bit more work on yourself and a little less focus on drag queens would be in order here. But it does seem like people who preach morals tend to do mostly preaching and not much practicing. So, Mr. Slayton, a lawmaker from the great state, the Republic of Texas, you, sir, are our Geek of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609.
So I utterly failed in my charm campaign. Perhaps it's because I was fighting a battle without the tools that one needs to win a fight based on
taste?
charm. No, I not.
Is this room 7609? Because I thought I have a song.
What?
Oh, usually Shawn is room 7609. He knows we're in room 7609 because he's in a room with some porcelain.
No, I have a song. I wanted to see what you thought.
I feel a setup coming.
I just want to say he sent me like 4 songs, and then you said do the second one. This is like 10 minutes ago, so I don't even know what the song is, ML.
So
we're not going to listen. We're going to listen to like 20 seconds of it, 30 seconds. I just want to see what you think. Is this hearken to your new wave?
Oh boy.
Why can I not?
This couldn't wait till I was in another time zone on another continent with a flagon of mead in front of me.
It might have to.
Wait a sec. Why now nothing's playing? This is why you're supposed to tell me before.
Fix the shit.
We were just trying to have some fun. I wanted you to hear it, thinking it was going to be your song, and see how long it would take. But he couldn't set that up.
Wayne Smith says bathroom 7609.
he couldn't. Yeah, right. I'd need to do that. He couldn't set that up technically.
Well, I don't know the song. I like to know things ahead of time. Here you go. Got it going now.
Have you ever heard this, Mike? Okay, that's enough.
It's a pretty cool song.
It's a very cool song, but
sounds like the Cocteau Twins.
But does that remind you
John
of
Cocteau's
anybody?
did?
It just I heard that and I thought I wonder if Mike would like this.
That also here I've got the device going now. Also heard during some of those lovemaking sessions, but this sounds vaguely familiar. Who is this?
Abby.
Yeah, Abby May.
Abby May. I can never know
some Australian singer.
I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it new wave. It almost has kind of a Manchester feel to it.
But it does have it reminded me a little bit of some of the Upper England toughness that you are fond of.
Oh yeah. Well, and have you ever heard the Cocteau Twins?
Yeah.
They're fantastic, and they have, and this kind of
I
has
have all their albums. No, I don't. That's a test department.
Heaven in Las Vegas, great album. This has
good callback.
This almost has like a little Kim Deal feel from the Breeders.
Oh, you like the Breeders? Wait, are we becoming friends?
Did that just happen?
Did that just happen?
The
Breeders?
You probably
like the Breeders.
You probably like Throwing Muses, right?
Some
Throwing Muses feel to it.
It's been a while.
Okay. That also is said often in those intimate sessions, but
that's been for decades.
But here's something that you rarely hear me say. This is a little tune from the Sisters of Mercy called "I Was Wrong."
Oh wow! Did they play this last night?
They did not.
Good.
Unless I was wrong, and they did. I just didn't hear it.
You say stay and never leave. You say meant forever. Oh, I could believe you, but I don't. You say we're almost all alone together. All alone. You say you will, I know you won't. I was wrong. I was wrong to ever doubt I can get along without. Yeah, I can love my fellow man, but I'm damned if I love yours. In a bar that's always closing, in rest until I hit the floor. Well, isn't that what friends are for? Pain looks great on other people. That's what they're for. I was wrong. I was wrong to ever doubt I can get along without. Yeah, I can love my fellow man, but I'm damned if I'll love yours. Stay and never leave. You say man forever. I could believe you, but I don't. You say we're almost all alone together. Yeah, you say you will, I know you won't. So I was wrong. I was wrong to ever doubt. Oh, I can get along without. Oh, I can love my fellow man, but I'm damned if I love yours. In a bar that's always closing, in a world where people shout, I don't wanna talk this over. I don't wanna talk it out. Oh, I was quite impressed until I hit the floor. Isn't that what friends are for? Oh, pain looks great on other men. What they're for. I was wrong. I was wrong to ever doubt I can get along without. Yes, I can love my fellow man, but I'm damned if I love yours.
So there are some fan sites out there where people will debate the meaning of songs, and you can look up your favorite song and see what's going on there. And there's one called Heartland, which is a Sisters of Mercy album. The Sisters of Mercy forum, it's called, somebody posts on here, I've been wreaking havoc on my brain trying to interpret this, but can't come up with something I will keep agreeing to for so long. Any insight on what this song might be about? And somebody posts, perhaps he was saying that he was wrong.
What a dick. I love it.
Yeah. That one, kind of tough to miss the meaning of all that.
Just as an aside, I went upstairs during the song, as I often do, and I open up the door, and Drew, the great Drew, is sitting there at his kitchen counter, bar, whatever you want to call it, and he says, "Is it room 7609?"
He knows.
Because he knew. God, is there anything worse? Well, I guess there may be a few things worse, but one of the worst things in life is being that predictable.
Well, what are you going to do when duty calls?
When you're not surprising in the least, when you don't throw off anybody ever. They always know what sad ass shit is going to come
Wear
out
a diaper
of you.
next
Also
week.
said during Lovemaking. The lyrics are fantastic.
You talk like you've been there.
You say stay and
maybe
never
I have.
leave.
I don't know.
You say meant forever. I could believe you, but I don't.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had a pretty good talk about this band earlier in the show, right?
He says, Shawn,
and 2 weeks
Shawn,
ago.
this is one
And
that
2
I
weeks
think
ago.
And
this
3 weeks ago.
This one may encapsulate our approach towards life. The difference is, he says, I can love my fellow man, but I'm damned if I'll love yours.
Ooh. Huh?
Okay.
That's so deep.
Okay.
In a bar that's always closing, in a world where people shout, I don't want to talk this over. I don't want to talk it. I was quite impressed until I hit the floor. Isn't that what friends are for? Pain looks good on other people. That's what they're for. So that
Sounds,
is,
sociopathic to me.
I was wrong by Andrew Eldridge.
It's easily the best one of their songs that you've picked.
It's probably one of the more accessible ones, and that's from Vision Thing, which
Look,
was...
listen, he's talking like it's high art, accessible. It's droney and whiny and teenagey angsty. Fuck it.
Oh.
Is that what you heard in between flushes? In the lighting of Strike Anywhere matches?
I listened to enough, waited to listen long enough to help the bladder, and worked, and then went upstairs and came back.
All right. I mean, he did stay for your song.
For 30 seconds of it, that's true.
In the 9-minute build-up. Anyways, that's Room 7609. Next month, next week, I will not be here with a firm hand on the rudder to steer us towards
clarity.
Great music.
Maybe it'll be new wave songs with bagpipes in it, which I can only think of one, which would be Come On Eileen. But there's probably
also heard during...
How about the
Room
hot brass
7609.
version of Sexual Healing? Can we play that?
No.
There are some great Scottish bands.
No, you don't need to do this now.
Okay, sorry. The alarm.
What's the feedback?
What? Okay. Glasgow, hotbed of outstanding new music. Feedback. Steve Harris writes, you are a clever journalist, but why carry on this nonpartisan watchdog masquerade when you go out of your way to smear and ridicule Republicans? Yeah! I think Republicans are a joke too, but my profession is not pretending to be a fair and balanced journalist. Why would any right-of-center reader or public official take you seriously when you write like a wise-ass Democratic operative? Not a nonpartisan guardian speaking truth to power, more like a servile lapdog for the current status quo. See also knee pad wearing Chad Livengood. Oh dear. Are you too cowardly to write about folks with real power, including Whitmer, Nessel, and Benson? How about Benson's sleazebag lobbyist husband, who I bet you bumped into on Mackinac? I don't think he's a sleazebag. I didn't bump into him, but to address your point, the list goes on. Instead, you likely have another Lucido or Caramo hatchet job in the pipe, or an update to the fake Lee Chatfield investigation. Okay, let me see. This guy took money from everybody, banged out his brother's sister. Yeah, not much to look into there. Diversions away from Whitmer sliding her crony Faye Baydoun $20 million cash for a fake company, and Nessel purposely botching the entire Flint water crisis criminal and civil proceedings. Snarky pot shots at right-wing kooks is not brave. Well, wait a minute, now he's calling Caramo a right-wing kook. I didn't call her that. Writing about things of substance and holding top bureaucrats accountable takes real courage. Well, Steve, where do we go here? If you noticed, my column quoted almost exclusively Republicans, and they were the ones who were critical of the Republican Party, which tells you something about the state of the state Republican Party these days. Yeah. As far as diversions away from Whitmer sliding her crony Faye Baydoun $20 million to cash, the Detroit News has done a really good job writing about that, and I don't really feel the need to replicate their efforts. There's a lot of good journalism being done in this town by a lot of people. And as far as cowardly and this and that and the other thing, Steve, I don't know when you've ever done some work that had everybody worried about the safety of your family, or you've ever gotten a letter sent to you anonymously that said target report with the name and address of everybody in your family going back 30 years. I don't know when you've ever encountered anything like that, but I'll just say those who have don't appreciate being called cowardly.
Yeah, that's the last thing you're going to call Mike, Steve. Come on, Steve, don't make me say this, but what was Kwame Kilpatrick? Was he a Republican?
Get the bell ready!
Was he a Republican or a Democrat? How many times did Mike go after him? I'm so... come on, Steve, you're better than this. Don't sit there and say you're not a Republican and then write something like that.
So,
all Mike has done is go after Democrats.
We almost got through a week without a Kwame Kilpatrick reference. And oddly, Shawn is the one who
drain that bladder and the anger comes out.
Oh my goodness! No, it's just I don't vote this way. I don't think this way. But you're a coward because you went after some corrupt guys and gals that were Republican.
Wow, I love how fired up you got.
Never mind the
the
undertone, the psychology of why you're a conservative in the first place, because you lean a little bit authoritarian, because you're a little bit Darwinian, because you say, I'm going to go get mine. That leads to more corruption. The Democrats are obviously some corrupt too, absolutely. But there's a reason that the sexual assaults and the rapes and the pedophilia leans to the right. It does. I can't believe you're making me do this.
I can't believe you're doing it.
Oh, my God.
Wait, Steve just replied. He said,
how many politicians do we see year after year after year that are preaching, as Mike said earlier, don't do this, stay away from kids, all that, and then they get busted for doing it themselves? They're mostly Republicans.
Well, I may never leave. This is taking an unexpected turn. It's to see this energy and the passion from Shawn Windsor in defense of...
Yes, I was just going to say, Steve just replied. He sent this in.
I love how you got to fight your boyfriend's battles for him.
Steve.
Okay, that's actually awesome. If he did he actually send that?
No, it's from the Mighty Gemstones, isn't it? Yeah. Or the Righteous Gemstones?
Because that's awesome.
Now, if that was...
thought he sent it.
If
I love how a guy must have sold that really well then.
Steve may be a bigger fan of the Self-Righteous Gemstones, which is debuting.
No, in all seriousness, I don't mean to get so worked up, but just the idea that
that's how you really feel.
The idea
you don't have a problem
that Mike's afraid. I mean, come on,
it's definitely not afraid.
Jesus.
The only thing I'm afraid of is the darkness in my own heart. We have one more piece of feedback. Shawn, get ready to rise to my defense again. It's the biggest bully on Facebook, John Anderson. Once again, get in my shit. This is what he said about last week's show. Great show today. More Drew and less Mike, meaning ML.
Ooh.
That's it, folks. We appreciate getting your feedback here at ML Soul of Detroit. You can send us an email at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. You may have noticed we skipped the donors because there weren't any. Although, it's my understanding we may now have a Venmo option for people who go to mlsoulofdetroit.com and hit the donate button. Is that
Boy,
did
true?
That
come back to bite me in the ass. I forgot to do it.
Did it?
I will put it up this week.
Where's Bob Cole? That's what I want to know.
Oh, dear.
I know. Boy, that slingshot.
Quel Supri.
Right back in my face.
Did not see that one coming.
Fuck. You knew I forgot, didn't you?
Hell, I almost forgot. Trying to save serve here.
Damn it. All right. Sorry.
Okay.
I will add that.
And the monthly recurring thing?
That is a little harder, but yeah.
Dennis.
On it.
And a generous nation await. Shawn, what's going on with Carlos and Shawn? You guys...
Can I just make one last point? I'm going to do it.
Yes, you can.
I'm going to do it. What Mike did in that piece, and his point about talking to other Republicans, that's true. It makes me think of a certain kind of Republican from when we were younger, and I know they're still out there. They just aren't part of our national politics right now necessarily. There are a few of them in the Senate, I guess. It makes me think of a line from Michael Moore. Whatever else you think about Michael Moore, I'm not necessarily a fan of his. But he once said the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Have we talked about this before on this podcast? I don't know if we have, so I may be repeating myself. But the difference is a group of Democrats around a table trying to figure out where to go to get dinner will take 3 hours. A group of Republicans will say in 5 seconds we're going to Sizzler. And I've always and we need that. We need that. We want Republicans flying planes, for example, don't we?
Well, I think no. Wait, what? Flying planes? What do you mean?
Just making decisions, being able to process and make decisions under pressure.
I think Sully's a Democrat.
He probably is, but no, anybody can fly a plane, obviously. But no, I always, that's a joke, obviously, with the Sizzler comment. But I always thought there's some truth to that. Those are the Republicans out of our youth, and that's what you were writing about. You were tapping into some of this old-fashioned decision makers. Let's figure this out and move forward.
Leadership.
Yeah, right?
Leadership, yeah.
And that's what you were writing about,
Democrats
Mike.
trying to make everybody a leader, and Republicans say, no, this is the leader.
Yeah, right. Democrats are trying to make too many people happy, And Republicans are like, no, we're not going to make anybody happy. We got to accept the fact we're going to make someone happy and try to do what's right.
Regardless of how you think about their policies, that just seems to be how they're structured. Republicans are like,
right,
this is our guy, we're going with it, we're getting stuff done. Democrats are, we want to get stuff done. Can we include everybody?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true, and I think you lean one way or the other based on how you see the world.
Right has always been way better on messaging.
It's true.
It's
true, and I think that was the larger point of Mike's piece. So, thank you for bringing all this out, Steve.
Wait, Steve just sent another message in.
Hey, Shawn, you're a real piece of garbage.
That's true.
So now we're both
But I don't need you to tell me that.
Wait, Shawn just sent a message in for Steve.
Steve, to me, just kind of seems like the name of somebody who has absolutely nothing going on in their life.
Jeez, Shawn, that was rude.
Wow, damn.
Thank you, Shawn, for mentioning something. I'm glad this didn't come up during the city council campaign. But yeah, I've gone after a lot of Democrats too. Democrats, Republicans, doesn't matter to me. If you're doing wrong, that I'm going to try and find it out. But this country works better when both parties
completely agree
are strong and engaged. And the only chance we're going to have to really ask some important questions in this Senate race and get some genuine or at least some thoughtful answers is if somebody has to respond to a dynamic competitor. That's when we're going to get debates. That's when we're going to have policy discussions. That's where we're going to see people come out into the community. And one of the complaints, one of the criticisms of Slotkin is that she has spent very little time in southeastern Michigan and doesn't represent very many black people. And so if she's allowed to basically just be the nominee and have an uncontested run to the Senate, which will probably be a lifetime appointment essentially, that there are a lot of people who don't get heard from or who she doesn't hear from regularly because they're not her constituents who won't get a chance to be heard from. And so there are people who are saying we need to have some black folks, some people from southeastern Michigan in the Democratic primary. And one of the guys I ran into on Mackinac Island was a guy named Hill Harper. Don't know him, haven't seen any of his shows, but he's apparently a big-time actor, and his resume is fantastic. This guy got like a law degree from Harvard and a master's degrees in all kinds of different fields, but he's been on The Good Doctor and CSI New York. And
oh, yeah.
I have no idea who he is, but there was one reporter, an outstanding reporter, but she couldn't talk to him because she was so starstruck that Hill Harper was there in the lobby of the Grand Hotel. He's just a nice little guy. I was sort of like, what's the big deal?
Just some good faith discussions is what we need. And maybe it needs to start with finding some shows, some TV shows, some movies that we can all sort of gather around and discuss. Maybe we can start with that and then work our way up.
We pay so much attention to the fringes on both parties, and they get all the attention.
We do. Do we really want a presidential candidate out there saying, I'm going to destroy the leftist ideology and the woke, whatever? No, say what you want. Say what the change is.
That's what a lot of people want, though.
Yeah, but they don't know what that is really, right? It's just an emotional thing.
Exactly. People like what you're saying.
It's an emotional thing. Say
people
okay,
vote for who they like.
Say, hey, we've swung so far. We had some rights to correct in the society, and we're swinging. And
Also
maybe at times it goes a little too far,
sessions,
so we need to come back a little bit. Whatever. I don't know.
What'd you say, Mel?
I said that's also been said during those lovemaking. Shawn is pro swinger.
He
just wants to swing.
Just some good faith discussions. In any case, yeah, maybe Ted Lasso wasn't quite it. Maybe it was for a season, and now we need something else.
Well, it's good that we have things to share, and we don't have to share opinions about them, but we do need to talk to each other. And I think Andrew Eldritch would agree.
All right, we'll have a good trip.
Shawn, what's cooking on Carlos and Shawn?
Lions are practicing, and it's the only, the Tigers just lost 4 in a row, so whatever little blip they had, I mean, who knows, maybe they could come back, but it's all about the Lions, man. You're going to have to accept the fact that your childhood team that broke your heart is the most interesting game in town, and
they're going to let everybody down again.
They might faceplant this fall for sure. They might also do something that'll be so shocking nobody around here will know what to do with it.
You're right.
And if that happens,
lose our minds.
Oh, people are going to lose their minds. So that's what we're going to get the rest of the summer.
Is it just
other than the NBA draft, maybe for 2 seconds?
Is it just me, or is Dave Burkett getting less of a summer vacation than ever before?
I know. I was at rookie minicamp. I'm going to minicamp, the regular minicamp, the next couple of days. It's just I don't ever remember being out in Allen Park this much this year, this time of the year, other than the draft in April. It's just that's how much interest there is. It's crazy.
The last time I went out to Allen Park, as much as you have, I was dating the woman I went to the concert with last night. She lived out in Allen Park.
Well, that's
and we were listening to the Sisters of Mercy. So we've come full circle here.
We
on the
have,
Soul of Detroit.
and then who's going to tie it up for us?
The good people at Irish Coffee or the Cadger Cafe, or perhaps David Hall, or
They can all tie it up for us, and then what? Come on.
You know, they love to hear their sponsorships. They love it when you call and tell them that you heard about them on the Soul of Detroit. But what they love more than anything else is when a gentleman named Cyrus stops by and says, "I'm here, gentlemen, to take you out."
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You have been listening to
ML Soul of Detroit.
Doc Six Gun is played by Carl Weber and Pablo by William Griffith. Today's script was written by
Mark Fallauer.
Heard in the cast were
Sean Windsor
as Eddie, Denise Alexander as Mary, William Keane as Matt, and
ML Elrick
as the sheriff.